The biggest fear that people have as a first-time home buyer that we encounter is the fear of the unknown. They're not familiar with home ownership and what it entails. The other biggest fear that people have is, can they afford it? Is this out of their scope? Is it out of their range? And then another fear is they're the first person in their sphere or circle to ever do this, right? Even in their family, their group of friends. So it's scary. And I think those are the biggest common fears that we hear. When I connect with the client, I usually ask a lot of questions to get to know them, to figure out where their mind is, where their headspace is. And once I figure that out, I use personal experiences to relate to them, to let them know that they're not alone in their thoughts or concerns. I speak with hundreds of people. And so it's like, we've heard it all before. There's usually nothing I haven't heard before. So I like to connect with the client and learn more about their concerns and then share my own personal experiences so they feel more comfortable being open about their true feelings. I resonate with all of it. Fortunately, though, my mom owned a home, so I had an example of home ownership. However, there were some challenges with that, right? So I learned some resilience through those experiences. And then those are things that help me navigate situations or help me help my clients navigate situations from those experiences. And so I utilize my personal experiences to be able to put myself in the shoes of the buyer. Every couple of years, my husband and I, we buy another home, because it reminds us of what it's like to be a consumer. Because even though I'm a loan officer, I'm still a regular person underneath there, and I'm the worst client. So it's like, it keeps me in tune with reality of like the consumer's thought process. It shows me what the experience is like from the seat of the consumer. And then sometimes it makes me come back and tweak things in my business because I never want a client to feel that way. Or I loved the way that felt. I want to add that to my business because I don't want to be a lender that's preaching to people the power of home ownership and I'm not owning, right? I'm not practicing what I preach. And so the things that I teach come from a place of experience. What I like to do with my clients, when they have concerns about affordability, we're looking at bank statements. We're really taking a deep dive in. Okay, I see you make X amount of dollars. Where's that money going, right? And we have a real conversation. You like Starbucks, you like DoorDash, you like the casino. So it's like when you really get granular about where the money's going, it's not to say that you can't have a life. It's to say, let's balance it a little bit differently. Or maybe let's pay yourself before you go do the extracurricular things, right? To ensure that you're putting money into something that's going to take care of you later. And then what's left over is what you go have fun with. So it's just having real dialogue on, it's not that you can't afford it. It's just the choices you're making with the money you're bringing in. One thing I did for myself personally, just because I realized how much money we were spending, it was more about convenience for me and my family, but DoorDash, it was taking all my coins. And so I was like, okay, we're going to go on a DoorDash binge. And one, it was like, I like to prove to myself that I can do anything I put my mind to. And so I was like, okay, we're going to go on a DoorDash binge for a week and see if we can go a whole week with no DoorDash. And we did it. And then it turned into 2 weeks and then 3 weeks. And then I broke and ordered some crumble on DoorDash. So, but it's like, give yourself little challenges. These aren't changes that happen overnight. And plus, you don't want to feel like you're depriving yourself of things, but just make little adjustments. Take it step by step, and then it turns into habits, right? And so don't overwhelm yourself with thinking like you have to make this big change overnight. You can't have a life. You have to put everything in the bank. It's just make minor changes. And then those lead to big changes, and they lead to big habits. I kind of just point out the habits and allow them, because it's almost like when you're a salesperson and you're providing a person with, here are your options. I never want to come off and tell you this is what you need to do. Yeah. These are the different things you can do. I want to make my clients feel empowered. Like they knew what all the options were. They made the choice, right? And when it feels unforced, like you made the choice, you walk away feeling good about the decision. You're more committed to it because it's not someone dictating to you what you need to do. My job as a lender is to lay out your options, to provide different opportunities for you to get to the goal, and you get to pick the path. I think that in our community in particular, money isn't something you always talk about at the dinner table. You're always kind of taught to keep your in-house business in the house kind of thing. And we don't just tell our business in terms of our finances. And sometimes you're a little embarrassed, right? And so again, I divert to those personal experiences to make people feel comfortable with sharing openly how they really feel about where they are currently and where they want to be. When I bought my first home, I used 3.5% down. I didn't have 20% down. And then I had to pay off some credit card debt. So I share my personal experiences is we all have to start somewhere. Most of us just don't wake up and decide I want to buy a house and have it all together. Some people, that's their story. But for the majority, that's just not what it looks like. And so just making them more aware of the fact that they're not alone. This is where most people start. We all have to start somewhere. And where you're starting doesn't mean that you're a bad person or you're irresponsible. It just means that you're learning and you're somewhere in the process. But the most important thing is you're showing up today to get the education, right? Which is big because most people won't even do that part. So just encouraging people to give themselves grace if they're not where they want to be right now, but ensuring them that as long as they follow the roadmap, we'll help get them there. I have a lot of clients. And with that comes a lot of responsibility. And so what I do, or what's important to me, is that every client, even though I have a lot of clients, they feel like they're my only client, right? I always let my clients know, hey, you're never a bother. Text me, call me. If I miss your call you right back. But it's really important to me that they know that even though I have a team that's assisting throughout the journey, I'm always watching things in the background. So I do my check-ins. Hey, congratulations, the celebrations, the milestones. Every morning, my team and I have a pipeline call at 9 o'clock in the morning. We walk through every single client and talk about where they are in the process, what's needed, what's outstanding. Do I need to hop in and help? So I'm fully engaged in every transaction, even if I'm not always the point of contact, I'm always available. And so for me, I want to make a really big impact in this world. And you can't do big things alone. I always am the first point of contact for my clients when they engage with my team. So there's not a time where a client's like, I never talked to her, right? But in order to make the type of impact we want to make, we have to have a team. So we have to share that load. But I always make sure that I'm involved and I'm available if people need me. And I know what's going on at all times. The way that I make sure that every client that we service is seen and heard and feels like they're cared for is making sure that I'm the initial point of contact with every client that's introduced to us. They're always going to have a consultation with me, talk to me. I'm going to monitor their transaction the whole way through. Those 9 o'clock pipeline calls keeps me engaged, keeps me in the loop with where things are with every single client. I have my points of check-in to where they're always hearing from me throughout the process. I may not be the paper pusher, but I'm in the back conducting. That's just really important for me. And I'm going to be there at every celebratory moment, celebrating with you, cheering you on, being your biggest fan. To sum it all up, I'm always available to my clients. Everyone has my direct personal cell phone number because some people operate off a business phone and a personal phone. But for me, my business is personal. So one phone number, always available.